All right. Welcome. I don't know how many of you were able to join us for Friday's meeting, but if you were there, then you'll know that we just kind of handle these office hour meetings casually. It's just an opportunity for you to ask specific questions about the external evaluation process, specifically giving you the opportunity to ask questions about the Cohort 26 external evaluation, since this is year one of that, and it is a little bit different than processes that we've done for external evaluation in the past. So I'm going to open the floor up to you guys. I muted everyone entering the meeting, but I think everyone has the ability to unmute themselves. So you're welcome to either just ask your question out loud or to put it in the chat if you would like. This is super casual. So we will just wait until someone has a question. Or if anyone has anything specific they would like me to go over, just let me know.
Amanda,
Yeah.
since no one has really spoken or anything, one thing that we did in the last meeting was kind of show the external evaluators where our website was, and Kelly kind of walked them through the tabs.
Sure.
So Kelly, if you could be who is our webmaster, if you could do that, that would be great.
Yeah.
I would love to. Let me get it pulled up real quick, and then I'll share my screen.
Nothing like being thrown up underneath that bus at the last second. Thank you, Carla.
I
No, I'm just
got it. Yeah,
kidding.
thanks, Carla.
Good morning. I have a question
Okay.
for some clarity. I know in one of the meetings that you went over some information regarding how we will be changing up maybe the format of the external evaluators submitting their planning and evaluations. You also stated something about, and it's been a minute, how we should be able to, you left open the holistic and wellness, two of the goals, I think is where I am. And you wanted us to meet with our external evaluator to try to make sure that we have a smart plan that was a little bit more maybe prepared better than what we submitted. So
Right.
I would like some clarity on that, because as I can recall looking at the FRE when we did it, I know mine was mainly participation, and you said it was a lot of that we should use something a little bit more robust maybe. So can you go into that and what you're expecting on those areas?
Sure. Okay, so let's talk about those program goals and objectives first. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up, well, I don't know if that's the best thing to do or not, but one tool that you can use to look at your goals and objectives was that Form 9. So let me go ahead and share that really quick. Now I'm going to share an updated version for Cohort 27, but it is basically the same as it was last time, other than we did go ahead this time and add we added all of the program goals that we are saying are required goals, instead of asking the program directors or the people who are writing the grant to come up with their own program goals for holistic health and wellness. So it's holistic health and wellness. There's 3 that you guys had to kind of come up with on your own and then provide objectives for. So one was holistic health and wellness, one was parent family engagement, and then the other was, let me think, parent family engagement, holistic health and wellness. Hold on, let me pull it up and then I'll know. And I'll be able to tell you. I should actually have it open because I was using it earlier. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. Let me go up to the top of it first. All right. Sorry, Kelly. We'll get you in a second. All right. Saved by the question. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen. All right, so this is the multi-year program design and performance form. And so the first 3 performance goals, and let me zoom in a little bit better so everybody can see. The first 3 performance goals were given to the applicants. And so the only difference in this form and in the form that was given to the sites originally in the Cohort 26 RFA is there was a change in objectives 1A and 1C because we got feedback from the Cohort 26 sites saying that they didn't really like the objectives that was there, that it worked for some sites, but many it did not work for because it had to do with comparing grades from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, the report card grades. And there was a lot of feedback saying that it was not a very good measure of improvement because a lot of students actually do really well in the first 9 weeks because it's all review material. And they tend to do, might do worse at the end of the school year. And so comparing the beginning of the school year to the end of the school year was not very comparable. And then there were others that said that at their school they didn't do report card grades, that they do performance indicators and that sort of thing that's not necessarily an A, B, C, D grade or a number grade. And so we changed those to be what is written here now. And so as those are being reviewed, I was telling external evaluators to be looking for this, that we sent out the information to everyone that this had changed, that these objectives had changed. Some people may not have noticed, or they may still have the old objective in their Form 9. So the new ones state the percentage of regular program participants who will show a minimum of 10% growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year on district provided benchmark assessments in mathematics. And then there's another one that looks exactly the same for English language arts and reading. That would be 1C. I saw someone else pop up a question about the percentage. So I'll be honest with you. I stole a lot of these objectives from another state as I was doing research for the RFA last year, and so I just kind of used what they used, to be honest, in all honesty. But basically, what it's saying in say, for example, for this first one that I just read to you, is saying that 50% of students will show a minimum of 10% growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year in district provided benchmark assessments in math. Okay. And that is the target goal. And then you were supposed to create strategies and activities to help meet that objective and so on and so forth. So I'm going to scroll down to the goals that were not provided in last year's RFA. And that was keep going. Okay, that was goals 4, 5, and 6. And so the first one is having to do with holistic health and wellness. And then they were supposed to do the other was service learning projects. And then one for parent and family engagement. Now, what's funny is these exact goals were actually written in the Cohort 26 RFA in another area as being our state program goals. And I kind of hoped that sites would see that and use it, but they didn't. I didn't want to make them do that. I wanted them to have the ability to create their own program goals and objectives based on the needs of their students and their communities and their schools. But we did see that a lot of people had struggled, especially with the goal for holistic health and wellness. So I'm going to dive into that one. That seems to be the biggest issue or biggest problem that we're seeing in some of these Form 9s or in some of the applications. So I'm just going to read really quick this performance goal. It says students regularly participating in the program will demonstrate holistic health and wellness by exhibiting positive self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, decision-making skills, and self-management. Now, in the RFA, it goes into talking about what holistic health and wellness means and the different pillars that fall under holistic health and wellness. And they include physical activities, nutritional activities. It includes mental health type activities, or SEL, social emotional learning activities. It also includes things like the arts. Trying to think of what else is in there, but there's a description of different types of pillars that fall under holistic health and wellness. And so the goal was for the site to choose which pillars based off of their needs assessment they wanted to address. Now, this performance goal really could be used for any of those pillars, because let's just say that you see your need at your site as being physical, more physical activities with the students in the afternoons. So there's a history of them just going home and being, sitting on their couches playing video games, not being physically active in the afternoons. You've gotten feedback from the community and parents saying that this is an issue, this is a problem, and so you feel like more physical activities need to be incorporated into your after school program. So incorporating those physical activities, having the objective where more students will participate in physical activities, that's not necessarily really a smart objective, because just them participating does not necessarily mean that they are receiving the physical and mental benefits of that physical activity, which also could include relationship skills. It could also include their decision-making skills, those physical activities, those, team type building activities. And, also it could affect their positive self-awareness, or, their self-concept of them, how they feel about themselves. So being more physically active will lead to students exhibiting positive behaviors, showing that they are more positive, are more, I'm trying to think of a really good way to word it. They're exhibiting more, saying more positive verbal cues about themselves, their own bodies, their leadership skills, things like that. And you could use a survey or something to that effect to measure that. Or it could be that you decide to survey their parents or the community about, are we seeing that the students are now spending less time playing video games and more time actually doing physical activities? Are we seeing that they're making healthier choices in the food that they choose, instead of only eating junk food? So those are the types of things that we would have liked to have seen in those goals and objectives. I mean, in those objectives, instead of just saying more kids are going to participate in physical activities, we want to say more students will, I guess it depends on what the physical activity is, but more students will exhibit these positive behaviors based on having access to that physical activity. Okay. So, does that help clear up anything related to that? And just remember, SMART objectives. Let me pull up kind of I don't know if I have that on here as what they actually stand for. It does not. But they're
Specific, measurable, attainable,
yes, thank you.
realistic,
Specific,
time.
measurable. Yes, realistic. How I draw blanks when I'm in these meetings. But yes, those are what you want to see those objectives look like. But they do need to be reasonable. So you do want to think about what do we reasonably expect this physical activity um, or this mental health activity or this nutritional activity to how do we actually expect that to affect our students in a real way? And so think about those types of things. And then how many students do we really expect that to affect? So that's where your target percentage actually comes in. And sometimes you just kind of have to start with a guess, kind of like I did. I kind of based it off of another state and what they had. In future years, we may adjust those numbers. If we see they're too easy, we might go up. You know, hopefully year to year, if you're meeting your goals, you'll increase your goals. You'll increase that percentage, and hopefully more students will meet those objectives and not just necessarily stay at that same goal. I think in the past, it was, and I don't know this for sure, but the impression I have gotten is that in the past, if it was written in the site's RFA, it's like the law. We have to stick with it. We can't change it. We can't make adjustments to it when it comes to the objectives and goals. And I don't believe that that's true, because if you don't have really good objectives in place that are measurable and are SMART objectives, then it's going to hinder you in your evaluation process throughout the entire grant. So that's why we're taking this very first year to make sure that your goals and objectives are evaluable. I hate saying that word. That they can be evaluated, that they are SMART objectives, that they do meet those requirements. And so this is the time at the beginning. And I know some of these programs have been in place in the past, but we're going to treat it as though they're brand new in their first year. And we're going to take this opportunity to make sure that those goals and objectives are really where they need to be. And of course, we can't deviate too far from what was written in the grant, because that's what won you the award, and that's what got you funded. And so we don't want to deviate too far from that, but we can definitely make adjustments to those goals and objectives, or to those objectives, to make them more measurable or make them more realistic. Hopefully that helped. What else did I miss? I know there was a lot to your question. Is there anything I need to touch on further?
No,
There
I
was a
think that
question.
sums it up. Sorry.
Okay. Okay,
There's a
good. I know I
question
ran.
too in the
Okay.
chat
Oh, I'm sorry.
it says, when site coordinators make changes to their goals in the Form 9, do they email when they update the form? Do they email you? So where do you?
So what we're saying with that one is, we would like that to be uploaded into the EGAP application, but we don't want you to have to do a revision just for that purpose. But next time when you do a revision, we would like you to upload the most recent version of your Form 9, if you've already have an approved application. But I will say that if you make any major changes to your goals and objectives, if you feel like what was initially written in your application is just not doable for whatever that reason may be, and you want us at the State Department to review it just to make sure that you're okay, that we feel like you haven't deviated so far away from your original application that, you know, you're not in compliance, then we are happy to look at those and just approve them and just make sure they're okay, as we, you know, as best as we can. Right now, we all have a ton on our plate at this moment, at this very moment. It's very overwhelming, but we're happy to, we do need to look at those, especially if you've made a major program change within those objectives and those strategies. And, you know, and especially also, another thing to look for, another thing we've told the evaluators to look for is the strategies and activities. We need to be sure that application did not say that they were going to do all these big and great and wonderful strategies and activities, but now that they've got the grant, they aren't doing those things that they said that they were going to do. Okay, so those are that's another thing. That's a pretty big program change. Now, if they said they were going to do something that at the time they thought was feasible, or at the time they thought was something they could do, but then when it came down to it, they weren't able to, for whatever the reason may be. It could be they couldn't find the staff to do it. It could be they couldn't find the resources to do whatever that item was. Then we can definitely look at making a change to those, you know, strategies and activities as well, trying to keep in line with the main goal of the original application, but of course, implementing activities and strategies that will help the sites and the students meet those program goals and objectives. So that's another situation where if we've asked the external evaluators, if you've gone out and you see that they're totally doing something, if they're doing something totally different than what was written in their application, we need to know about that. We need to fix that. And we need to try to do the activities that the site said they were going to do in the original application. But if it just does, if there's a good reason that that activity cannot be done, then we need to know about that at the state level, and we need to fix it in the EGAP application and get that approved as a program revision and a change to the program. So, all right. All right, any other questions? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Sorry, somehow I got all cat on this. Let's see. Where's my stop sharing? There we go. All right. I don't hear any other questions coming through. So Kelly, you want to go ahead and show them the website?
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see? No, wait, share. All right, everybody good to see the
Yep.
website? Everybody good? Okay. This is, like Amanda said, our new website, and we hope to keep this running when we form the partnership with USA. Uh, we'll see. But for now, you can see this is the homepage. Here is information about the Cohort 27. If you guys would like to continue to get information about that, and email contact list. Here are our contact information. We've got everybody at the state. Then we have our TAs underneath, and then we have Nia as well. If you can't get one of us, feel free to contact her. She knows where we are at all times, basically. The next tab is going to be just focused on Cohort 27. And here is the competition calendar. Here are the slides that Amanda went over uh, last week. And then here's the WebEx that goes with those slides. So you can use that for your information. Here's a calendar. What I've done is I took the Cohort 27 competition calendar and I put it on this calendar. So you can frequently come back and look and see where things are. And if we're having any type of meeting like we are today, you can see, just click on it. And then here's a quick link to the WebEx. We will eventually be putting some monthly newsletters on here, just anything that's needed per month, resources, some things that are happening with our associations and things like that. So um, here is under the resources tab, we've got grant guidance. So here is 17, 26, and then we'll eventually put 27 on there when we get it. Here is also the link, or it's really the download to the feds guidance as well. Subgrantees can look here for specific forms that they might need from the RFA. Here is the list of the pre-screened external organization list. Field trip information, you can see down here where we've got approved lists. We have the planning information. We've got the request form is underneath that as well. Here is the 2025 November newsletter, and then links to easy reports and to our YouTube resources. Underneath that is really what you guys are looking for, and that's external evaluator resources. Here's a list, contact information. This is one of the PowerPoints, I believe, Amanda, that you might have gone through, or one of the previous ones that we had on how to get to anything, easy reports, etc. Underneath that is external evaluator cohort 26 forms. So You can find the checklist here. You can find templates. You can find instructions. And then when you get ready to submit your forms, if you click here, like here's the evaluation plan, you can just fill all this out, and then you'll be able to add your file. And then this will go directly to Amanda, and she'll do what she needs to do with that. Here's final reports 25, 26. Here is a final report template. You just will have to make a copy, and then you can use that. And this other submission form. Is that one word, Amanda? Like you, I don't know how to say it. I don't. Any questions, or is there anything that I've left off that you guys could use? Did not want to do that.
I do want to say the final report template is might be changed for cohort 26. So just be aware of that. It may stay the same as what we currently have. It just depends on how fast we get our state external evaluators in back in, contract, and our new partner with USA in, and we're working on developing the new state evaluation plan. Um, one of the top things I do want to work on is work on that evaluation template, but it just may not happen this year, or we may use what we've used in past years. There's nothing really wrong with the previous template. I just want to make it more aligned with what we're doing in year one. So just be aware that that might change slightly for cohort 26. It'll stay the same for cohort 27. And I think this video that's uploaded is an older video, but if you go to the YouTube channel, I've put all of the videos into playlists. And so there is a playlist for external evaluators. So you should be able to access the most recent videos back to videos from as far back as they were given to me from TPI when they were working with us. So you should be able to do that. Yeah.
Here's
Yeah, if you click on playlists instead of just videos, there should be, yeah. So we've got so we've got 24, 25 training. Evidently I need to upload for 25, 26.
here's 25, 26. Now,
Okay.
it says 25, 26 resources.
Yeah, I thought I'd created one for external evaluators specifically, but I'll
Here's
check into
24,
that.
25.
Yeah. But I'll check into that. I'll make sure. I do need to upload the video from Friday. It's just been a day. It's been a nonstop since I walked into the office day. So I haven't had a chance to do that yet. But I'll upload that video and today's video, as well as the external evaluator training that we did back a few weeks ago. And I'll create a new playlist for 25, 26 for external evaluators. And you'll have access to those as well. I thought I'd already done that. I apologize.
Beth asked, does Form 9 get submitted here? Do we have something for Form 9?
So no, so the Form 9 really shouldn't, well, what we've said is that'll be submitted, it should be submitted with the EGAP application or updated. If you make changes to what's in the current EGAP application, then the next time you do an EGAP application, whether it's a revision or if you're currently in process of working on your EGAP application, then you need to go ahead and update your Form 9 if you've made changes to it. But again, please don't just do that without talking to us if you've made major changes from the original application. That would just be minor things, like you changed, you made something a little bit more measurable, or you changed the data that you're going to collect, something like that. If you make any big programmatic change, then we need to be aware of that and need to approve it. But otherwise, that will be sent to us along with the evaluability checklist. And so I believe that's been sent out to everyone, but I can go over that again really quick with everybody. Let me pull it up really fast.
I'm adding things to the content portion. If
Okay.
you all click on the last three at the bottom right, the three dots where it says more panels, you can click on content, and I'll add some of those items to that. So I already have Form 9 in there. And Mr. Scott, you asked about the observation form. It is on the website under cohort forms, but I'll add it to the content panel as well.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. My computer is being crazy. Okay, so this is the evaluability checklist that you will complete in conjunction with your program director, the site program director that you're working with. So notice there's instructions here for the completion and submission. There is a Google form, for you to submit it to once it's ready. It is due in March due March 15th. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. It talks about the purpose of evaluability. It talks about the process guidance. Okay, so basically is asking you to review each item on the checklist together and come to an agreement with each other about whether that item has been completed or is present, or if it's still in progress as of March 15th. Okay. If an item is not completed or done yet, the partners are advised to focus attention on that evaluability item and work to complete it before March 15th, which is more than halfway through the program year. Okay, so by March 15th, you're required to agree on the status of the site's progress. Okay, and so again, you'll say whether their process has been fully completed and the evaluability process has been fully completed. In other words, you've done all of the things on the checklist, or whether the process is still in progress. And if it's still in progress, then you can either make a request for technical assistance, or you can, at that point, commit to completing the items with kind of a plan as to when those items will be completed. So you would provide like a written plan as to when the items that are currently not completed are completed. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too crazy confusing. If the person does request technical assistance, hopefully we will have the rest of our TAs in place by then. But either we will come out or our TAs will come out and help get whatever that process is, help you get in compliance with whatever that process is. So let me scroll down and let's look at the stages of this. Okay, so stage 1 is your collaborative planning. That's what you should be doing right now. Really, you should have already done it, but you still have time. I know this is new for everyone. So this is the time when you are doing your collaborative planning and you're reviewing your program's goals and objectives, so that you can, and as I sent out in an email last week, I suggest that you look at that Form 9, you use it and revise it first. And then once you get it in good condition, where you have nice, clear goals, you have smart objectives, you have your activities and strategies in place, you know what data you're going to collect to measure whether that activity actually helps you meet your goal. And then you have your budget items, the things that you purchase with your budget to help implement that activity. All of that is lined up perfectly on your form, not perfectly, but as best as you can on your Form 9. Then you would use that to create either a logic model or a planning and reporting template. And so I left this as being, you can do one or the other. Some people like logic models better. Some people are more of a chart person and prefer more of the planning and reporting template. You can do both if you want to. It is totally up to you. But I would suggest that you do one or the other. And then together, you arrive at that mutual agreement about how your evaluation of your program is going to proceed for the rest of the year. Again, this is just gives some information about potentially engaging your advisory board members in your collaborative planning process. If you choose to, it's just a suggestion. So that way it's not just the two of you creating this plan, but you've got other stakeholders that are providing input into your plan. But when it comes down to it, is the external evaluator and the program director's job to make sure that this is done, that this plan is created. Okay, this just gives useful items to have available when you're doing that collaboration. And then it gets to that evaluability item. And so number one, smart performance indicators are present and mutually agreed upon. Okay, do we have smart goals and objectives that are specific, measurable, attainable? That's the one I couldn't think of earlier. Relevant and time bound. And if you feel like all of your objectives are smart, that they do meet these requirements, then you would say done. If you're still working on it, you would say not yet. Okay. Then next, you've got your model or your plan accurately describing your program logic. And it's that you've got it ready to submit and it's mutually agreed upon. So again, you're reviewing your program goals and objectives designed to meet your participant and community needs as identified in your site's needs assessment. You've got program activities for students, families, and adult learners that have been defined in that Form 9 that directly align with your program goals. You've got clear, connective, causal pathways to link your activities to your outcomes and performance indicators. And that is all either visually displayed in in a logic model or graphically displayed in the planning and reporting template. Okay. So again, you only have to attach one, and it talks here in bold, it says that either the logic model or the planning and reporting template must be attached to this checklist when submitted. So when you submit the evaluability checklist, you will also submit your logic model or your reporting template. It doesn't say it here. I do believe in one of the documents it also says to submit the Form 9 with this, but as long as it's been uploaded into eGap, you wouldn't necessarily have to submit it here as well, but you're welcome to, just to make things easier to have everything in one place when it's reviewed. All right. Do you have mechanisms in place to record any changes that occurred to the designated program logic over the course of the year one implementation? So this is telling you to, this is part of one of those steps of number 2. So as you make changes to your program logic or your planning and recording and your reporting template, you need to have some kind of way to keep a record of those changes. Again, as you see that things aren't working, you can make changes to your program. Okay. Nobody, I guess somewhere it said something or somewhere we got in our heads that we have to keep things the exact way that it was when we wrote the RFA. But if what we're doing is not actually increasing student achievement or not helping us meet our goals for our students, then we do need to make changes as we see that what we're doing is not working. So this needs to be a fluid document that can change in minor ways, from the original RFA, and then it can change in major ways if needed. We just need to make sure we get pre-approval from the ALSD before we do that. All right, the next check on this is the evaluation plan. So the evaluation plan is present and mutually agreed upon. again, this is aligned to that program logic model and planning and reporting template. In other words, this is not necessarily something other than, this is not something in addition to your program, your logic model, or your planning and reporting template. This is just saying, yes, we do have a evaluation plan in place and we both agree upon it. Okay, and so if answer there is yes, you would check that it's been met. If not, you would say not yet. All right, then you have a communication plan that's present and mutually agreed upon. So this is a set of clearly defined expectations and agreements outlined in your bi-directional communication channels for active ongoing contact and information exchange throughout the year. So this is exchange between you, the external evaluator, and the program director. And really any stakeholders that are involved in the evaluation process could also be included in this communication plan. So it does say here, multiple identified points of contact, people designated to send and receive messages relevant to the ongoing evaluation. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the RFA, it did say that there was supposed to be a site liaison or school liaison for each site to have that open communication between what's going on during the school day and what's going on in the 21st century program. So that person would definitely need to be part of this communication plan. And it's just really just how are you going to get the information, the data that you need from the school or from Power School or whatever the case may be to help you with your evaluation of your program and, of course, reporting of your GEPR measures and things like that. All right, and then finally, an advisory board has been established in ways that adhere to ALSDE requirements and recommendations. They have to do 2 advisory board meetings a year. So that's stage 1. Okay, so that's all. Those are all things that should be being done right now. Okay. Then in stage 2 is when we do the first site visit, and that's when you'll do, it's called a readiness review or walkthrough. It's a readiness OST checklist. It looks different than your typical observation form that you guys have used in the past, okay? It is a collaborative, interactive experience where information is exchanged. I can pull it up if you want, but it's really more about, do we have all of the things in place in our program for us to run a successful 21st century program? So do we have all of the things that are mandated in the RFA? Do we have all of our processes in place? Do we have a student handbook? Do we have safety plans? Do we have all of the things that we are supposed to have in as you know that as part of a successful program? Do we have all of those things in place? And so those are the type of questions that OST readiness observation tool asks you to work through with that program director to see if everything is in place. Okay. So then you have the evaluability items that fall under that. Program activities are ready to be implemented as designed. Do we have operational plans, timelines, site level logistics? Are they completed and available? Do we have a program handbook and safety procedures? Have all of the staff that we need been hired? And are they all prepared to deliver service? Well, hopefully by now they are, but typically this would be done a little bit earlier in the year, okay? But we got started a little bit late, and that's on me, so don't worry about that. Has our education liaison been selected? That's what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Prepared to perform in their role and provide a clear set of operating procedures and practices. Our partnering agencies have been prepared and have clear plan detailing how they will contribute their services. Okay, so those are all things to check for, and that's all part of that readiness OST walkthrough. And then there's questions about the data collection, information management. So the data manager is prepared to carry out their role, clear procedures detailing of how, when, and where to collect, enter, and store program data For statewide reporting, internal monitoring, and local evaluation, staff are informed and prepared to contribute key information gathering and reporting processes, and parent permissions have been requested and obtained to allow for the gathering and reporting of student level data. That's one that I don't know that we have made sure that sites do in the past, that I became aware of when I was going through this process. Really, in order to collect like a survey on a student, the parents are really supposed to give you permission. Hopefully that's part of your enrollment process, that you guys have that in there, but that is something that we definitely need to bring to everyone's attention to make sure it's taking place, that before you collect data from a student, like before you do a survey with them or anything like that for evaluation purposes, you are supposed to have the parent permission to do that legally. Okay, and then the last stage is the formative finding report. Oh, and so by the way, let me go back. For some reason, my thing is not working. I'm sorry, it's not scrolling very well. Okay, here it is. So the completed OST observation tool must be attached to this checklist upon submittal. And then somewhere it could have been accidentally left off of here, but after this tool has been actually completed, you're actually supposed to provide some sort of written feedback to the program director and upload that as well. So I need to probably fix this and make it a little bit more clear as to what the expectation is. So not only should the tool itself be uploaded, but your written feedback to the program director about what they observed or what the findings of that readiness tool were are also supposed to be provided. And that is in your other documents that have been provided to you, but I see that it's missing right here, so we'll get that fixed. Okay, so I've gone through that, and then the last thing is that formative finding report. That's going to be your end of year report. Oh wait, actually I take that back. Here it is right here, I think. Following the visit, the program leaders and evaluators will engage in a rapid cycle feedback process where the evaluator communicates a summary of salient findings. So yeah, that's this. I'm sorry, I forgot that this was like a separate stage. So once you've done your OST site readiness visit, then you will create a summary of your findings and actionable recommendations and give that to the program director and the TA within 1 to 2 weeks after the visit. Your program leaders should take that feedback and review it with their program staff. And then again, that formative findings report with actionable recommendations should be attached to this checklist upon submittal. Okay. All right. So at that point, that all takes us through evaluability. So you have a couple more items here. The local evaluator's findings report has been delivered to the program director and site TA. You would check whether that's been done or not. And then the program received report recommendations and integrated them into continuous improvement plans and whether that has been done or not. And then of course, there's areas for you to make comments. And so at the end, there is a place for you to pick whether the evaluability process has been fully completed, or whether that process is still in progress. If you pick that it's still in progress, then you have the opportunity to choose whether you need technical assistance or whether it's not technical assistance is not requested. And if you do choose the second, then you need to provide us with kind of a written, it doesn't have to be anything huge, but just kind of a written plan as to when those actions will be completed. Okay, and then it's just got the site logic model and planning reporting guide is attached. The completed OST readiness observation tool and formative finding reports are attached. You check that. You both sign it, and then you submit it to that Google form. That's at the beginning. So hopefully that helped a little bit in going through that process, and that's going to carry you through March. Okay. So once this has been submitted to the state, hopefully I will not be the only one looking at them. Hopefully we'll have our new partners in place to help us look at these and review them. But the next step in that process is going back to kind of doing a traditional observation that will take place sometime in after March 15th through the end of the program year. And that's you could either use the NIOS tool for that you've used in the past, or there's another tool, the OST observation form, that is another evidence-based out of school time programming observation tool that that we found online that's free. Everybody has access to it. But those have also been, I believe, uploaded, or I know they've been sent out. I don't know if they've for sure if they've been uploaded on our website or not. We've been trying to upload things where we can, but sometimes it gets done and sometimes it doesn't in the whirlwind that we're currently in right now with 21st century.
It's in the
All right.
content part now if anyone needs it. And then Amanda, there's some more questions
Okay.
or one about evaluation plans being due on January the 2nd.
Okay. I understand that both cohort 17 and 2026 are due on January 2nd. Nothing is due for cohort 26 on January 2nd. Let me go. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the give me a second and I will pull up the timeline. And let's see what we've got on the timeline. Put it in the right screen. All right. We have added all of the evaluator responsibilities to the timeline. Some of them were there before, but we've updated everything. And so let's see. So right now, well, we're actually in December now. So right now during December, external evaluators for cohort 17 should be conducting fall observations sometime between November and December, and then they submit those results to ALSE within 2 weeks of the observation, but no later than January 2nd. So there you go. And then there is a link here within the timeline for the Google Drive that you will submit that to. Okay. And then these other two external evaluation check boxes are for cohort 26. So during December, you should be meeting with, if you're meeting with a cohort 26 program, you're going through that process. You're completing stage 1 of the evaluability process, which is the logic model planning and reporting form. But again, it's not due to us until you submit your evaluability checklist by March 15th. Okay. So the question was, is there any flexibility in that date? Many schools will not be back until January 10th, and it may be hard to speak with personnel during this week and holidays. It originally it was all due by January 15th, but now I'm seeing January 2nd. So if you have to have an extension, then you're welcome to request one. Just send us a private email about that. We would like to try to stick to the deadlines on things. I don't think we changed any of the deadlines for cohort 17. I may be wrong about that. I'm to the point where I don't remember what my own name is with all the things that we're doing. But I don't think we made a whole lot of changes in regards to what was due for cohort 17, but that could be incorrect. But we'll work with you if there's a good reason for something needing to be submitted late, then just reach out to us and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Yeah, it is hard to get signatures during the holidays. I understand that. Okay, would creating a scope change document that we upload be satisfactory? Does it need to be updated in eGAP or just retained as part of site records and submitted in evaluation? A scope change document. I'm assuming that you're referring to what we talked about in the evaluability plan, Miguel, where you should kind of keep a documentation of how you're changing things. I think that's not something that we'll
Yes.
ask. Okay, perfect. I don't think that's something that we're specifically asking for. You just submit, just keeping records on your, keep your own records. And then if we ever have questions about it, we might reach out to you and ask for that documentation, that information.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And Michelle asked, is there a template for the formative findings report? And is this the written feedback? There's not a template. This year we decided just to see how it goes with kind of letting you guys do your own thing. And just letting you provide that. And yes, that is the same thing as the written feedback. Basically, we just want you to look at what the results were of that OST readiness observation, sort of an observation. It's really almost more like an interview type thing. But take your findings from that tool and provide written feedback. And again, part of, if you go back to that evaluability report, let me lower this. If you go back to that, to stage 3, it talks about you also making, as part of that, any actionable recommendations. So if you see things that you know need to be changed or fixed, that's, you would put that as part of your written feedback. But for this year, we just decided to not necessarily do a specific template that you have to follow. We're just going to kind of see how you guys do on your own. And if it works out well that way, then we'll probably continue that, or we may not. It depends, as we're doing our state evaluation planning and all of that, we may eventually build a template for that. And we definitely will if we see that what is turned in this year to us is not of good quality, then we'll definitely have to create some sort of template. But for this year, we're just going to see kind of how it goes. This is definitely a learning year. We're going to just see how this whole process goes. It may be a giant flop, and I will be the first to admit it if it is a giant flop. But I'm really hoping it'll be a good thing, a good way. So far, I've gotten some positive feedback, and that's been great. But hopefully, it'll be a good way for us to really make sure that our sites are in good condition so that we can evaluate them and we can know whether what they're doing with the students is actually beneficial to the students, or whether it's just, a fun activity, or whether it's, just something that looks great on paper, but it doesn't really necessarily meet the needs of the students that are participating in that activity. Or maybe it's a great activity, it just needs to be tweaked in some kind of way to make it a little bit more educational, or whatever the case may be. All right. Any other questions? So I'm going to go back to that timeline, I think. Got so many things open. Let's see. Where did it go? I don't think I closed it.
It's
Here
the
we go.
fourth from the right.
Yep, I see it. I'm so blind. My eyes are going too now. Okay, so in January, you've got lots of check boxes in January. So again, that's January. Sometime between December and February is when you do that for 26. That's that OST readiness site visit observation. Okay, and then you're supposed to report back to the director within 2 weeks of the site visit. I know sometimes that's easier said than done, and we're not necessarily going to check that. It's something that hopefully your program director will ask for, but it does have to be submitted to us by that March 15th deadline. And then there is a link here for you to use to submit your cohort 17 fall observations. And then there is a link for cohort 17 site evaluation plans. Okay, so 17 is still expected to do the site evaluation plan like they always have in the past and upload that also by January 2nd. So there's 2 different links here that are in the timeline. One is for the fall observation forms that need to be submitted, and the other is for the site evaluation plans to be submitted. Okay, and then for cohort 26, I think I have just a repeated information here. I should have deleted that probably. Yep. So this is actually just repeat information. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that right now and fix it. All right. Okay. All right, I think some more questions have popped up. At the top of the evaluation plan template, it said that cohort 17 and 26 were both due by January 2nd. I'm so thankful that 26 is not due until later. Okay, so evaluation plan template. Yeah, so that evaluation plan template is old. It was before this new plan came out for 26, and I didn't realize that it had 26 on there. So no, it is just the evaluation plan template should only be used for cohort 17. I think one of our team was being proactive and went ahead and updated it with the new, the new cohort numbers, but not realizing that I was going to go off, go crazy and make changes to the evaluation plan. So that's why it says that, but no, you'll only do that evaluation plan template with cohort 17. So I'm sorry for any confusion that may have caused. You do not have to do the evaluation plan template for 26. 26, we're doing the new evaluability checklist. That is our goal for 26. Okay. And now I've gotten off track because I deleted something. There we go. All right, any other questions? All right. I'm going to give it another minute or two to see if anybody else has any questions. And if not, we'll go ahead and end the meeting for the day. But, we don't have any other office hours scheduled, but if you guys feel like you need one later on, when we get to one of these other stages or before that evaluability checklist needs to be turned in, please reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to schedule something to talk everybody through, kind of the process. I'm still learning myself. I had to refer back to things that I hadn't looked at in a little while. So I understand it's going to be a new process for everybody, and we're kind of all learning about it together. So just let us know if you need additional help. And of course, you're always welcome to email us and reach out anytime you have a question. Michelle, yes, you can. You're welcome to give me a call. I think maybe you called me last week and I meant to call you about that, but yes, if you're the right person I'm thinking of.
On another note, another subject,
Yes.
where are you with the final approval for our cohorts? The continuation, I'm sorry, continuation for 17.
I am doing my very best with that, but I am behind. I know I looked up for another site that asked the same question earlier, and I had 10 applications ahead of them that still needed to be checked. So I am doing them whenever I can, but between this meeting and administrative meetings and writing the new RFA and getting it routed and doing the RFA meetings and planning all the meetings, it's really hard to sit down and devote time to do the RFAs. Most of the time I end up doing them at night until the wee hours of the morning. A lot of you will probably see that I'm improving things like on my own home time when I can, but I'm trying to get it done as quickly as possible. I had to make a couple of changes to the RFA, and I'm trying to get those finished really, hopefully before I leave today. I had to make that a priority so it could go back to, and start over in the routing. And so I had to spend time today doing that, which I've been in meetings almost most of the day, a majority of the day also. So, but hopefully in the next day or two, I will be able to sit down and spend some quality time going through and reviewing your applications and getting those approved, because I know you guys are waiting on me. And I'm going to try to get them done as fast as I can. But I just need you guys to be understanding and patient with me as I try to get those done. Because also keep in mind, I have to do approvals for all of the consolidated applications for all of our LEAs as well that we're over. So I think there's about 40 of those that I have to do as well, in addition to all the 21st century. So it's a lot of work, and I'm trying my best to get it all done. So I appreciate your grace and patience. All right. If there's no other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Let me stop sharing my screen. Any other questions that anybody can think of? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I hope you guys have a great day and the rest of your week.